Okay, so we continue our discussion of Z transforms in this lecture also. So in the last lecture we talked about the inverse Z transforms in terms of an integral, right? And that integral is also a special integral. It is a contour integral because the variable is a complex one, right? Z is equal to r times e to the j omega. So this variable of integration is a complex one, so we took a contour integral. So you have to choose a contour and then carry out the integration. If you have to evaluate the integral, then Cauchy's residue theorem can be used. Cauchy's residue theorem. But fortunately for us, for LTI systems of importance, the given Z transform is a rational function. Ratio of polynomials. And therefore, we can evaluate the inverse Z transform by either partial fraction expansion and then invert term by term or by long division method. Okay, either you can use partial fraction expansion method and then invert term by term or by long division method. The disadvantage of long division is that you may not be able to guess a general formula for the inverse Z transform, because most of the time you will not get the closed form expression. But on the other hand, partial fraction expansion always gives you a closed form expression. Closed form formula. So I also pointed out that if a rational function, that is p of z divided by q of z, with the degree of p of z is greater than the degree of q of z, then this p of z divided by q of z will be written as some polynomial in Z inverse, let me call A of Z, plus a proper rational function. Proper rational function. Because if this is a case, then this will be improper rational function, because the numerator degree is higher than the denominator degree. So whenever you have this kind of thing, then you have to express in terms of A of Z plus proper rational function. So the improper rational function P of Z divided by Q of Z is equal to A of Z, some polynomial in Z inverse, plus proper rational function, that is, let me call P1 of Z divided by Q of Z. Now the degree of P1 of Z is less than degree of the denominator. Okay, now then you invert A of Z. This guy you do it invert term by term, which is very easy. In case if you have a term like this, 4 times Z to the minus 5, then its inversion is going to be 4 times del of n minus 5. Okay, so this is the inversion of the A of Z. Right? And then you come back to this rational function, this guy. You take this rational function, you have to carry out the partial fraction expansion of this proper rational function. Okay, I also pointed out if there are multiple poles, that is, if there are multiple poles of q of z, then in general you have to carry out differentiation. I gave you the formula also, but the differentiation can be avoided by using a simple trick, that is write a set of linear equations by putting specific values of z and then you evaluate the required number of constants or required constant. Okay, and one more point is the ROC, the importance of region of convergence, and we showed that u of n, if you take z transform, this is going to be 1 by 1 minus z to the minus 1, and minus u of minus n minus 1, this guy also has a z transform of 1 by 1 minus z to the minus 1. So both u of n and minus u of minus n minus 1 have the same z transform. But what about the ROC of u of n? That is mod of z is greater than 1. What about the ROC of minus u of minus n minus 1? ROC is mod of z is less than 1. Okay, therefore the ROC is very, very important. If you don't specify the ROC, then you don't get the correct answer. Okay, therefore we have to specify the ROC. U of n has the same z transform, minus u of minus n minus 1 also has the same z transform, but only the ROC differs. Here the ROC is within the unit circle, inside the unit circle. Therefore this is anti-causal sequence or left-sided sequence. But in this case the ROC is outside of the unit circle, so like this. Therefore this is causal sequence, or I can say right-sided sequence. Okay, so if you don't specify the ROC, then Z transform is not a one-to-one transformation. Okay, so the important point I'd like to stress here is the Z transform is a one-to-one transformation only if the ROC is specified. Otherwise the answer can be non-unique. So very, very important point one has to remember. Okay, now in this lecture let us start the properties of Z transform. Properties of Z transform. So this is parallel to the properties of DTFT or other transforms like Laplace transform or like that. Now consider two sequences, G of n and H of n, okay, whose transforms are G of Z and H of Z respectively. You put capital Z. This capital Z indicates Z transform. And with the ROC specified, ROC as specified as RG, such that RG1 less than mod Z less than RG2. And this guy ROC is RH. Here H indicates the signal H of n, and here G indicates, suffix G indicates the signal G of n, such that RH suffix 1 less than mod Z less than R suffix H2. So therefore the ROC is a annular region. Okay, this mod of Z lying between RG1 and RG2. Similarly, it lies between RH1 and RH2, between the two circles of radii RG1 and RG2. If you draw a circle, the inner radius is RG1 and the outer radius circle is the outer circle radius is rg2. Okay, so similarly this RH ROC is also lying between RH1 and RH2. Okay, and we will also use the symbol 1 by Rg. It will mean that mod of z lies between, when I write 1 by Rg, then it means that 1 by Rg1 less than mod of z less than 1 by Rg2. Okay, and we will also use the symbol Rg and Rh. Okay, this multiplication of Rg and Rh stand for Rg1 Rh1 less than mod z less than Rg2 Rh2. That's what we mean by like this. Rg1 Rh1, and here this is ROC. So either you can write in terms of multiplication Rg and Rh. This is Rg, Rh, R1 by Rg you can write. We will use this 1 by Rg or Rg times Rh in different context. That will become clear as we go along. Okay, so we shall use these symbols Rg, Rh, 1 by Rg, not Rg1, 1 by Rg. In case if I write 1 by Rh, then this implies 1 by Rh1 less than mod of z less than 1 by Rh2, like that. Okay, so we will use these symbols 1 by Rh, Rg times Rh, 1 by Rg, then Rh, Rg, right? So we will use these symbols, okay, to discuss the properties. And there are no such complications in discrete time Fourier transform. Discrete time Fourier transform, no complications. No complications like ROC. But Z transform, yes. We need to specify ROC. ROC is an very important attribute one has to remember and one has to specify. If you don't specify the ROC, then you may not get one-to-one transformation, right? The answer can be non-unique. And okay, one second, something missed here. Okay, so let me take the first property as conjugation. So I took some random order, okay, so nothing should be followed in this order. Textbook follows some other order, so you can follow, no problem. So I would like to first discuss conjugation. Generally we will start with the linearity property. Anyway, let me start with the linearity, not an issue. Linearity. So the linearity property says alpha times g of n plus beta times h of n gives rise to alpha times g of z plus beta times h of z. Now this g of n has the ROC of r suffix g, and this h of n has the ROC of r suffix h. Now what is the ROC of this combination? Okay, so that is not the total story, okay, it can be wider than this ROC RG intersection RH. So the ROC can be wider than this intersection also, need not be RG intersection RH. Suppose if you take alpha is equal to 1 and beta is equal to 1 and g of z is equal to z inverse and h of z equal to 1 minus z inverse, then alpha times g of z plus this all are let, okay, let alpha is equal to 1, beta is equal to 1 and let g of z equal to z inverse and h of z equal to 1 minus z inverse, then alpha times g of z plus beta times h of z is equal to z inverse plus 1 minus z inverse, this will get cancelled, so you'll get 1. Therefore, the ROC of alpha times g of z plus beta times h of z is 1. The whole z plane is included. Alpha times g of z plus beta times h of z. If you consider this linear combination, it includes whole z plane. Why? Because it is constant, you are getting 1, right? So you can take anything, the whole z plane is included. Isn't that right? Therefore, the ROC includes the intersection of this ROC of g of z and h of z, but can be wider because of the possibility of cancellation. Here, these two guys are cancelling. Because of this cancellation, the ROC can be wider than RG intersection RH. So the other point is, suppose g of z has a pole at alpha, and h of z also has a pole at alpha. The combination of alpha and beta is chosen such that numerator has a 0 at alpha. Then the pole and 0 cancels, and then the ROC will be wider. Okay, the pole is unable to bound the pole is unable to bound the region of convergence because that pole is unobservable, and the ROC becomes wider. Therefore, the ROC of alpha times g of z and beta times h of z includes the intersection, and sometimes it can be wider also depending upon the context. Let me take an example. Let g of n is equal to, let's say, a to the n u of n, and what is g of z in this case? G of z is equal to 1 by 1 minus a times z inverse. What is ROC? ROC is equal to r suffix g, and this one is going to be what? Mod of z greater than mod of a. Fine. Then let me take h of n. H of n is equal to a to the n u of n minus 1. Now if you apply time shifting property, and if you take z transform of this, then this is going to be a times z to the minus 1 divided by 1 minus a times z to the minus 1. Now what is the ROC for this guy? This guy is going to be same, mod of z greater than mod of a. Now let us choose this scaling factor. Alpha is equal to 1 and beta is equal to minus 1. Let now alpha times g of n plus beta times h of n is equal to g of n minus h of n, because beta is equal to minus 1 here. So if you take z transform of this, g of z minus h of z. What is g of z? 1 divided by 1 minus a times z to the minus 1 minus a times z to the minus 1 divided by 1 minus a times z to the minus 1. Then you rearrange this. This is equal to, if you take the denominator is common anyway, no problem. So 1 minus a times z to the minus 1 divided by 1 minus a times z to the minus 1. So both the numerator and denominator will get cancelled. So you'll get 1. So after taking the linear combination, the z transform is going to be 1. So what is the ROC for 1? Entire z plane. Individually, the ROC is mod of z greater than 1. Individually, the mod of z is greater than 1. Okay, for g of n, the region of convergence is this. For h of n, the region of convergence is this. But the moment you take all linear combination like alpha times g of n and beta times h of n, such that if you choose alpha is equal to 1 and beta is equal to minus 1, both numerator and denominator will be cancelled. Okay, So therefore the ROC is the entire plane because of linear combination. Here 0 is introduced that cancel pole, that is why the ROC is larger. Here G of n is of infinite sequence. See, the sequence is infinite sequence. Infinite sequence, and this also infinite sequence. Okay, G of n is infinite sequence and H of n is also infinite duration sequence, but their linear combination is of finite duration. Okay, so the linear combination is of finite duration. So what is happening here generally? What is happening here? Actually, the pole is unobservable because of the cancellation. Okay, here the pole is unobservable because numerator is called 0 and the denominator is called pole. The 0 cancels the pole. Cancels the pole once you take the linear combination, right? The combination of alpha and beta is so chosen that the numerator has a 0 at A and the denominator also has pole at A. Then the pole and 0 cancels each other. Therefore, the pole is unable to bound the region of convergence because the pole is unobservable. So in this case, the pole is unobservable. So you will be studying something called observability, controllability, stability, this kind of things in your control systems course. So here this pole is unobservable once you take the linear combination. Actually in the system individually there is a pole, but the moment you take this kind of linear combination, that pole is cancelled with the zeros within the system so that you cannot observe where the pole is. So this is something called unobservable. And therefore the ROC becomes wider, so the ROC is going to be entire Z plane. So the ROC of alpha times G of Z and beta times H of Z includes the intersection, not only the intersection, but it can be wider, but also it can be wider. Okay, so that's all about this linearity property. And the next property I would like to consider is convolution. G of n gives rise to G of Z. Let's say the ROC is RG. RG means what? RG1 less than mod Z less than RG2. And its complex conjugate of G of n, it has the Z transform of G conjugate Z conjugate. So what if the ROC of this guy? What do you think its ROC would be? Because mod of Z and mod of Z complex, Z conjugate, have the same value, right? The value will not change, both are equal. Therefore, the ROC will be the same as RG. And here also the ROC is RG, that is RG suffix 1 less than RG1 less than mod of Z less than RG2. Okay, don't put it less than or equal to, strictly less than. And the third one I would like to consider is time reversal. Time reversal. Now if you take G of n, time reversal means G of minus n, and this guy has the Z transform of G of 1 divided by Z, right? So the ROC is going to be 1 divided by RG because Z has gone to 1 over Z. Therefore the region of convergence is 1 by RG. And then the fourth property is time shifting. Okay, so G of n minus n naught has the Z transform of Z to the minus n naught G of Z. Now what is the ROC? ROC can be RG except possibly Z is equal to 0 or Z is equal to infinity. Because you are introducing a scaling factor here. Okay, the ROC is RG and the factor Z to the minus N naught will also contribute to poles. So if N naught is a positive integer, then what will happen? Then the point at the origin will be excluded. So except possibly Z is equal to 0. If N naught is a negative integer, then the point at Z is equal to infinity will be excluded. In case if you take N naught is equal to, let's say 2, then what is going to happen? Let's take 1, no problem. 1. So G of N minus N naught, that is 1. This is equal to Z to the minus 1 G of Z. Now in this, if we substitute Z is equal to 0, then what is going to happen? It becomes infinity. Therefore Z is equal to 0 will be excluded if N naught is positive. In case let's say N naught is equal to minus 2, negative number, then what will happen? G of N plus 2. G of N plus 2, this if you take Z transform, then Z to the 2 G of Z. Now if you substitute Z is equal to infinity, then the whole thing becomes infinity. Therefore Z is equal to 0 will be excluded. So depending upon the value of this N naught, either you may exclude Z is equal to 0 or Z is equal to infinity in the ROC. Therefore the ROC is RG except possibly Z is equal to 0 or Z is equal to infinity. Okay, you must find the ROC very carefully. And then what is this property number? No, 4. The proof is very straightforward. The next property is scaling the Z domain. Scaling in the Z domain. Okay, so if G of N has the Z transform of G of Z with ROC RG and Z naught times N, where Z naught is a constant, okay, times G of N, complex constant Z naught is, then its Z transform is going to be G of Z divided by Z naught. What is the ROC? In this case, ROC is going to be mod of Z naught multiplied by RG. The proof is straightforward. Now let's understand this through an example. Let's say G of N is equal to A to the N U of N. Now what is G of Z in this case? Z transform 1 divided by 1 minus A times Z to the minus 1, where mod of Z is greater than mod of A. Right? Now you take Z naught times Z naught to the N G of N. This is Z naught power N A power N U of N. Then what is the Z transform of this guy? 1 divided by 1 minus Z naught Z inverse and A. Right? So to convert this sequence as per infinite sum formula, Z naught A times Z inverse whole is less than 1. Take modulus and less than 1. So Z naught A is less than mod of Z, or mod of Z times mod of A times less than Z. And this is my new RG. Original RG was this one, mod of Z is greater than A. Now here mod of Z is greater than A multiplied by this constant, complex constant Z naught. So now this is my new RG dash. Okay, therefore this RG dash is the scaled version of RG. Okay, so a naught times z naught is the curled. Actually, what is rg here? This is my rg, right? Mod of z times here. This is my rg, right? So you are multiplying the rg with the z naught, scaled version of rg. Your region of convergence is that, I mean the radius of the circle is scaled down. Here the radius of the circle is a. Of course, this is not a circle. Very bad diagram. Okay, so this is a and region of convergence. So outside this, like this, your ROC. Now the radius is scaled by this complex constant. If the complex constant is greater than 1, then this is a circle of radius a, and this will be circle with the z naught times mod of a, and this is mod of a. So now outside the outermost circle, provided that mod of z is greater than 1. If it is less than 1, then what is going to happen? This is a, and this will be mod of z naught and mod of a, and this is mod of a, provided mod of z naught is less than 1. That's it. Okay. What is the next property? Okay, so this conjugate property we already discussed, right? Where is it? Linearity, and then convolution is over. Okay, then time reversal. Okay, scaling the z down. Okay, so the next property is sixth property. The next property is g of n okay, I think this okay, anyway, let me write down here. If you take z transform, then you'll get g of z, and conjugate of g of n becomes g of g conjugate of z conjugate. So if you take conjugate, the ROC will not change. That's what we discussed. Okay, already I think we finished this. Anyway, no problem. It doesn't matter. Now, if I multiply a sequence, by alpha n, then we get, let me write down first and then I'll explain. See, I have a sequence g of n, and the z transform is g of z. Now multiply this sequence g of n by alpha to the n. Then in this case, the z transform is going to be g of z divided by alpha, and in this case the ROC is what? Rg, right? And here the ROC is Rg multiplied by this mod of alpha. Okay, the ROG is extended. The ROG is extended here. So the next property is that of differentiation. That is, if you multiply a sequence by n, then the corresponding z transform is minus z times d of g of z divided by dz, right? So you take a sequence g of n and multiply by the sequence n, and the differentiation is not with respect to z to the n. Okay, it is with respect to z. So you must be very careful about this. You have to carry out this differentiation with respect to z. And what is the ROC for this case? Except possibly z is equal to 0 or z is equal to infinity, because the moment you differentiate you are getting this minus z. Okay, so then there will be some cancellation, and this will give you a clue for the inversion of 1 divided by 1 minus alpha times z to the minus 1 whole to the r. Okay, this type of formula you will get in the case of multiple poles. Please recall the formula, multiple poles, right? This guy has multiple poles. How many poles? R number of poles. So whenever you have multiple poles, then you can use this differentiation property and find the inverse Z transform. We shall carry out an example a little later time. So that's all about a differentiation property. And the next property is is convolution property, like g of n convolved with h of n. In this case, g of z and multiplied by h of z, simply multiplication in the frequency domain. So the ROC including RG intersection RH, or it can be wider also because of the cancellations. Okay, here the ROC is RG intersection RH, and sometimes it can be wider also because there can be cancellations. So the ROC includes RG intersection RH and can be wider. And finally, the modulation property. Modulation, that is, if you multiply g of n by h of n in the time domain, then its z transform is going to be 1 by 2 pi j contour integral of, you do the integration over the contour c, g of v. Instead of z I put some dummy variable. Okay, this v is a dummy variable in the integration. Dummy variable g of v, then h of z by v, v inverse and dv. And this is the formula for modulation, and integral over some contour c. And I strongly urge you to prove all these properties. Okay, the proof of this 8th property is, for example, is extremely easy. What you do is you go from the right hand side to the left hand side. Okay, start from right hand side and go to the left hand side so that you can easily prove it. Okay, you take this guy. Okay, take this guy and find the inverse transform of these things. Okay, it should be easy for you to find out. The clue is that you replace this g of v by its equivalent expression. What is equivalent expression? Summation of g of n times z to the minus n, where n goes from minus infinity to plus infinity. Substitute here. And then interchange the summation and integration. You have integration and also you have summation. Interchange the summation and integration, and then you should be able to prove it. Now what is the ROC for this? ROC is RG multiplied by RH. Obviously the ROC has to be the product of RG and RH. Okay, and in the sense that we have defined it. Okay, but again it includes this RG and RH. It can be wider than RG and RH also because there can be cancellations. Okay, now let us look at some example problems. A simple example, or I'll do one thing, and let me stop here, and we will continue from this point in the next lecture.